In medieval Catholic theology, the term limbo was used to describe the afterlife of one who dies in original sin without being assigned to hell itself. Today, limbo is commonly used to describe an in-between phase. People going through transitional phases in life might even refer to themselves as being in limbo. That being said, developer Playdead's indie hit Limbo is very adequately titled. The game setting is ambiguous at best, and the creepy, atmospheric environments it places the player in are reminiscent of iconic childhood nightmare scenes. The game is presented in black and white, and the clever use of lighting and special effects really bring the world to life. Or death, whichever you prefer. Limbo was released exclusively for the Xbox Live Arcade in July of 2010, and a little over a year later, the PC is finally getting its copy. Although the game is a port, you wouldn't know it by playing it. The game runs at a silky smooth 60 frames per second on adequate hardware, and the controls could not be simpler. A total of 5 keys are used to complete every function within the game, and while this may seem like a tad too little, the player never feels strained or incapable of completing the tasks laid before him. Limbo is a 2D side-scroller platformer puzzle game. Being all those things at once might sound tricky, but Limbo gracefully masters the formula. One thing that may irk you on your journey through Limbo is the developer-dubbed playstyle, trial and death. After having played the game, it's no wonder why the developer coined the phrase. The game will kill you. It will do it a lot, and you die in extremely gruesome and brutal ways. This isn't to say that the game always deliberately gets you into situations where you get sliced into pieces, but sometimes it does, and it can be a little frustrating when it feels forced. Most of the time, though, death is avoidable if you think fast enough. The game has a pretty steep learning curve, and some of the later puzzles will definitely challenge your skills, but the satisfaction gained from completing these harder conundrums makes it worth your while. The puzzles are presented in a variety of ways, and they all make excellent use of the game's physics engine. Boxes, traps, ropes, gravity switches, and more make appearances throughout the game, and you'll have to use these items in coordination with the game's terrain and physics in order to progress. The visual style of Limbo is nothing short of enthralling. The minute I saw the game being played last year on a friend's Xbox, I knew I would have to snag a copy for my PC when they finally made a port. That being said, I have not been disappointed. The game's look is so well done and so interesting that I had a very hard time putting it down. Everything is cast in black and white, and the film grain effects give it an almost film noir feeling. However, this game is hardly an episode of Crooked Cops and Femme Fatales. Instead, Limbo draws on emotional themes seldom explored in video games today. Even the main character, the unnamed young boy you guide through the hostile world, evokes feeling from the player. The overwhelming feeling that you are alone isn't even hampered by the presence of enemies. At certain points in the game you are in fact faced with enemies, but the way in which the game presents them only adds to the feeling of abandonment. Giant spiders, other boys, and brain slugs are the chief enemies you will face in Limbo, and all of them are rendered in the same eerie way. The most problematic of these foes is the brain slug, a bright, glowing slug that will jump down and attach itself to your head. During attachment, the player can only move in one direction at a time depending on which way the slug wants to go. These periods of brain alteration coincide with some of the trickiest puzzles the game offers, and the way in which the developers design the puzzles around your monodirection character is very impressive. The only real discrepancy to be found with Limbo is the game's length. It is very short and can be easily completed in a few hours. This is unfortunate, but at the same time, it's not necessarily a horrible thing. Sure, the game could have been a few more hours in length, but I'll take quality over quantity any day of the week. The puzzles that are featured in the game are some of the most interesting I've ever seen, and the intelligent way the game moves your character through the world using those puzzles rivals that of Portal 1 and 2. Limbo is worthy of high praise, even if only for its incredible visual style, but it's got a lot more than that. Some of the best puzzles around, a dark, emotionally saturated journey through what looks like a 12-year-old's nightmare, and much more await you in Limbo. Thanks for watching this review. If you liked it, then hit the like button and subscribe, because that kind of thing helps us out a whole bunch. And if you can, pick up a copy of Limbo. It's really, really good.